Rev up your engine. All right, everybody's whining. You gotta pay too much money. Coronavirus and after for used cars? Not necessarily. I bought this last year with 73,000 miles for $5,500. It was a granny car, and he bought it from the granny. I tell people this is always the way to buy it, because there's plenty of guys out there buying it from the grannies and then flipping them. This car, if you bought it from a granny, polished it all up, you could have easily sold it for $10,000, $15,000 these days with that low mileage on it. He found it himself, and he got a pretty good deal. This one's an all-wheel drive, so he really got a deal. It's got the insanely reliable Toyota V6, 4-cam variable valve timing. Now, the only downside of this car, of course, is it's got a rubber timing belt. This is a 3-liter. It is not an interference engine. So if that timing belt breaks, no damage is done. You just tow it to a mechanic, put it back together, and away you go. Now, of course, all the later model ones have timing chains, so it doesn't really matter. Toyota was smarter than Honda. Honda's still making these stupid V6 engines with rubber timing belts. God knows why they are. But this is not an interference engine, so you don't have to worry. You can't be thinking, if I don't change that belt and it breaks, there goes the engine. No, that's not the case, because this is a non-interference engine. But the dipstick, it's not burning any oil. Of course, it's only got 78,000 miles on it. These engines are good for 3, 4, 5 times that. That's the advantage of buying a granny car. She was in her 80s, but obviously she could still drive because it's not crumpled up all over the place with a bunch of dents. So, you know, you don't have to worry about it. What you see is what you get. You see it all dented up, you pay less for it. But in this case, there wasn't any problem. And since it's a northern car, we'll go underneath. Check it out. Not only is the frame rock solid, it's not really rusty at all. This baby was made in Japan. Let me tell you something. They knew how to rust-proof these things a long time ago. They don't have problems with them. You want to always check. You never know. Somebody might have hit a bunch of speed bumps and then knocked the coating off and they're rotted away. But this thing is whistle clean underneath. It doesn't have rust. It probably never will because the original coating's still on it. They know how to build them. It's not a problem rusting out on these unless you're in a real severe, like you drive through the ocean waves all the time on a beach or something. That's gonna eat anything up. And as we look inside, yeah, they're leather seats and they're crinkled a little. It's a 20-year-old car. They're still not ripped though. I gotta give them that. We'll start it up. Smooth idle. And here's the engine purring away. No shaking. You know, this is basically the same engine that's in my wife's Lexus. These things can run forever. And the fact that you can get an SUV like this that can get 30-something miles a gallon on the highway, as old as it is kind of remarkable. He got lucky in more ways than one, because there's another guy who's looking at it, and the guy's, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna, so he jumps in and says, here's the money, I'll take it, you know? You find a deal like this, let me tell you, even if you don't want a car, buy it. You could double your money selling to somebody else, or if you're a nice guy, you can start telling all your relatives, I got this beautiful Lexus for $5,500. You know, you want to buy it, happy with it, it's a great car, you know? You find something like this, don't question, buy it, and worry about what you're going to do with it later. My wife's Lexus was the same thing. We didn't need a car, we had a Precedent that ran fine, Matrix that ran fine. But hey, when I find a car like that, and now 10 years later, I'm still driving and it still runs as good as this does, don't hesitate when you find a deal like this. This is all-wheel drive. A lot of times you don't need all-wheel drive, but if it comes with all-wheel drive and you're only paying $5,500, who cares? Like Lexus has problems with their all-wheel drive system. They don't. The only problems I've ever seen is if people wreck them and bent stuff. They generally don't wear out by themselves, so we'll get my scan tool and see what kind of shape it's in electronically. We'll do diagnostics. There's one warning light, but that's for the squirter. See, he's either low on squirter fluid or it's broken. As you can see, it's only got 78,000 miles on it. And he just told me he knows it's low, so that's all that is. Now, as per usual in a Lexus, there's no code, so let's look at live data. The one thing I noticed is typical. You can see the long-term fuel term for bank 1 and bank 2. We got 3.9% here, and the other side is 7.81. It's having to add a little bit of fuel, but let me tell you something. He should leave that alone because he's getting phenomenal fuel mileage. That means it's running a little bit lean, which is what you want because you're going to get better gas mileage. The temperature gauge runs right in the middle where it's supposed to. Everything's working fine. If it's running a little bit lean, has to add a little fuel, live with that. You get 30-something miles a gallon and just be happy and don't complain. They're actually better that way. I could get it to get 0 fuel trim, but you would actually get worse gas mileage. I've done that for people. And then they'll say, oh, why did you do that? I said, well, you wanted me to. I warned you. I said, it's running fine, leave it alone. Well, I don't want it to run too lean. Well, clean stuff, adjust stuff, and then guess what? He got worse gas mileage. So, this case, we're going to leave it alone. Man, airflow sensor's good. 3.03. It's a 3-liter engine. That's typical. So, yes, it's in excellent shape. Now, it's got this cool interior. It's all black and lots of space. You can see he's resting in this thing. Big old sunroof for $5,500. What a deal. We're going to take it for a spin. Old car, no backup camera, so we got to look. Big deal. These were very popular SUVs because they're not super high, but they're not super low. It went over that big bump without scraping or anything, which is a big deal. That's a gigantic bump. From a granny, so 78,000 miles is believable. A lot of people will lie, cheat, set the speedometers back, but in this case, I don't hear wheel bearings roaring, I don't hear any other noise. If it really had a ton of more mileage on it, I would hear the wheel bearings roaring, the suspension wouldn't be as tight as this is. I turn it, it reacts instantaneously. Be leery of low mileage cars like this, but I mean, look at the steering wheel. It's not worn, it doesn't even have a cover on it. The wood's still clean, so this is real mileage on this thing. Nobody coming there, nobody coming there. Let's see what this thing does when we step on the gas. Smooth power. Smooth shifting transmission. That really is the actual mileage on this thing. Now, the only problem he had was the ABS system wasn't working right, and he had a friend, because he was in a hurry, before he brought it to me, and he put 2 sensors on the rear. That's all he had to do was put 2 sensors on. Bother with the front sensors, you can see, turns on a dime. I mean, the only reason people didn't buy these things is because they cost too much money when they were new. Yeah, you can find one for $5,500 with this kind of mileage, like I said. Snap it up. Everything's fine. Super smooth idle. And that transmission shifts like a dream. Of course, that's not very many miles for a Lexus. I mean, I've seen these things with 300,000-400,000 miles, and they were still going strong. Down we go in a $5,500 luxury SUV. Boy, this guy got the deal of the century on this car. And that was last year. Still in the pandemic, and hey, you look around, you never know. Ask your friends. In this case, somebody's granny. Relatives are telling people his mother knew her, away he went and bought it. Even a fancy CD player. Windows, AC, everything works fine. Lexus, you can see those little speakers. It's got a killer stereo system in it. And it may be old. Yeah, it's 20 years old, but it's still got low and high heated front seats. You get too hot, you can put it on low. You don't have to have it hot all the time. High, low, or off. Now, as you can see, the steering wheel is old-fashioned. Oh, boo. It only has cruise control on it. That's it. It still works. Doesn't have all the fancy buttons. Oh, boo-hoo, so the buttons are over here. Who really cares? It's an excellent car. Be old, but it's still got VSE on it. They put them on these things back in the day. You can polish these headlights to make them shiny or replace them with more modern ones that look even cooler, but hey, it's a $5,500 classic. You can't go wrong with that. No rust. I don't think you can't get deals today, because you can if you look around, especially if you look around for grandma cars. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, certainly the woke generation has gone insane, but now it turns out that plus-size airline passenger is demanding free seats and bigger bathrooms. I can't help but laugh at this. If you became so big you can't fit on an airline seat, buy 2 seats. You're the one that got that large that you can't fit on a regular seat. Well, can you blame the airlines? You know, what are they going to have, special flights for plus-size people with large seats? You know, I just flew in, and I'll tell you, they're making the seats smaller. No arguing that. I got no arguments against that. They're making it because they want more people on the plane, so they can sell more tickets and make more money. They're being strangled in. Coronavirus knocked the airlines outright. This woman has filed a petition to say, they gotta make the seats bigger. They gotta make the bathrooms bigger. Hey, it's gone insane. It's gone totally insane. Let's face the facts. Okay, you got a child, you gotta buy a seat for the child, right? Well, if you're the size of 2 people, you'll have to buy 2 seats. That's the way it used to go. I mean, I'm totally amazed with the ideas that people come up with, that the world should be adapted to fit them. If you get too big, well, guess what? You're going to have to pay for being too big. You're going to have health problems as you age, and that, of course, costs a fortune. All that money spent on people that aren't healthy because they're way too oversized, and it's a health risk. There's no arguing that. They can play all the games in the world that they want, saying it. That's not right. That's not right. That's not. Hey, It's a fact. If you're obese, you're going to have health problems as you age. That's just a fact, right? So this mollycoddling to people, it's gone too far. It's gone too far. Hopefully, well, I can guarantee you, she probably won't get anywhere because the airlines can't, well, yeah, we're going to put all these big seats in. Who's going to pay for them, right? There's something wrong with you, not the plane. I can fit on it, and I'm no tiny guy, you know. I mean, if you got to that size, you're going to have to get your own airplane, I guess. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.